My name is Kirk Montgomery. I'm the IT director for the city. Been with the city roughly about 5 years now. Would like to discuss a little bit more about what's happening in the area dealing with the Lumos fiber that we have installed across all of our different departments within the city. So roughly a year or so ago, we had started talking with the Lumos because they were talking about bringing in fiber into the city of Mebane for our residents. And so we were able to negotiate a very cost-effective approach to where we can actually have fiber connected to all of our sites, including our parks, all of our major departments, and so forth. So when this occurred, we were able to actually get up to what's called a gigabit of fiber. The gigabit of fiber actually triples the speed that we originally had for the city, and it helps our infrastructure to where we can actually go through the process of having faster speeds, work more so with having online applications that we can kind of work through that process and ensure that people have the access and the ability to run those applications in a timely manner. It originally started here at City Hall to where we had to go through the process of rewiring our whole network closet. The network closet that we had was pretty much set up for a 100 megabit connection. A 100 megabit connection is just what we call a slower speed that allow for us to have access to the internet and to our online applications, but it was also getting to the point to where it was being pegged at the very top level. So whenever we work with the Lumos to get the fiber and stuff installed, which is now a gigabit, which is pretty much 10 times what we had previously, it allowed for us to increase the bandwidth that we had here, be able to stream more things, be able to actually get the system and stuff up and running in a very timely manner. So as technology changes, so must the infrastructure that we have. So when we install the new fiber to our systems, we actually had to go through and increase the number of switches and stuff that we had across the city. We are still in that process of adding the additional switches. The switches for the city are what allows for us to tie all of our network equipment, all of our computers, all of our Wi-Fi into a common portal that would allow for us to access that information on the internet and to actually allow people to connect with shared files that we have here in City Hall, at Public Works, also at the police department, the fire department. So as we progress with technology here at the city, this is a very valuable infrastructure need that we had. At all of our parks now, we actually have free Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi will allow for our citizens to access our network, but through a very secure infrastructure which has content filtering. So we want to ensure that that if any children get onto our network, that they have the capability to access it, but they cannot access things that are not viable for young kids to get to. And so we monitor that. We block any violence. We block anything that's dealing with pornography or anything of that nature, to ensure that our citizens have access and they can go to the sites they need, but also to ensure the safety of the children so that they don't access things that they don't need to access. We are really growing here in Mebane. We hope to, by the end of this year, to have all of our infrastructure upgraded to the latest and greatest switches and devices that we need. This would allow for us to grow in the future, because as technology changes, as I stated, we have what's called a gigabit connection, but this would allow for us to go up to a 10 gigabit connection as well. And the providers that we have now, they're slowly moving into that direction. We moved away from what we called a Metro E connection that had very limited bandwidth for us. So we're looking at having on the back end 2 connections, one from Lumos, and we're working now with Brightspeed to actually have a backup connection so that if we lose connectivity with our Lumos fiber, we will have bright speed as a backup to ensure that, that the city stays up and running, especially dealing with our public service departments like police and fire, to ensure that the capabilities are there and that they never lose connectivity. This will be a very thought-provocative process that we have to go through to ensure that the failovers and stuff happen in a timely manner. We have purchased equipment already that allows for us to do that, but with us just starting the initiation of adding these additional services, we will go through a gambit of testing and make sure that these sites and stuff are up and running, that if we will actually take and remove one connection to ensure that it fails over to the second connection and vice versa. As things progress even more and we know that we need additional bandwidth, we may do what's called load balancing, which will allow for us to use both of those circuits at the same time, and data will go through both connections, and so that the load is balanced between the two and that we don't get oversaturated. Another critical thing that we have also looked at, we were able to get a cybersecurity grant, which will help cover security across the city. It's not just internet security, it's also physical security. So as you all may not know, we have installed cameras at most of our parks, and we'll be expanding that in the future. But this is more so for the safety of our citizens, to ensure that, if anything happens out of the ordinary, we can have those cameras and videos put in place to where we can record. It automatically records that information to our servers, and we can archive it and we can search for it in future references. This is a very critical need, especially dealing with our police department, so that we can pull any footage that we may have at that time to assist them in any cases or any incidents that may occur in those locations. Hopefully things will progress to where we can move forward with expanding this into other locations, but that's to be determined at a later date. And as you are aware, we have set up cameras to actually stream the Mebane Christmas Parade. These cameras allow for us to stream and do things of that nature, but they're also for security purposes. So that would allow for us to be able to monitor those areas and ensure that the citizens are safe, as well as giving them the capability of being able to see the fun activities that are happening across the city. So we're looking at ways to secure the city, but also to make sure that events and stuff, when people cannot attend them, that they'll be able to go to our YouTube site and be able to watch those activities and enjoy the festivities from afar. And also, just to elaborate on a couple of things, we are working with the police department because with the camera systems that we have that's already online, we have worked with our vendor to set up a mobile app to where if they're out in the field and they need to access footage, they'll be able to locate it on their cell phones. And with that, they can search for any activities that has happened, go back through the process and look, and then they can actually save it for their future cases. We're really looking at ways to make our police department more effective and make things a lot easier for them to be able to access things to keep our citizens safe. The Information Technology Department is here to serve not only the customers that we have internally, but also our citizens. The catchphrase that we always use too is "get IT done," or "get it done," in a sense. We thank you for watching. We're always here to serve, and as we always say, Mebane is positively charming, and that we are here to help you.